Hello everyone, welcome to the Microsoft Online Tech Forum. This is Angus, Account Technology Strategist from Microsoft Public Sector Group, and today I'm happy to be here to share one of the very fundamental but important skills in adopting Azure Cloud technologies, which is the Azure Governance Service. So before I begin, I just want to assume that all of you already have some basic knowledge on how Azure looks like, how it operates in the Azure portals, and then I can spend more time to focus on how you can leverage the Azure Governance Service to enhance the management for the resources that you're hosting on Azure. All right, so let's get started. All right, so I believe everyone can see the slide, and actually in that, in the following sections, I will focus on the Azure Governance fundamentals. And let's start with a very great statement to describe how Azure Governance works and actually what it's going to do. Actually, Azure Governance allows you to enforce a set of rules on how resources in the cloud are configured. So actually, that means a single organization or a project, usually there are a lot of resources that you will host on the cloud, right? So for example, you have a virtual machine, you have web applications, you have a storage account, you have backup, all these kind of stuff. So by default, the developer on the cloud, actually, they can create and configure everything freely without any restriction. So that's why you should, it is good for cloud developer because they can have full control, right? But actually, it's definitely not a good thing from a company perspective. So that's why it is necessary to have some Azure Governance Service to restrict the user operation, to perform what they need to do only. So that's the purpose of applying Azure Governance Service, all right? To begin, I would like to elaborate more about how we can leverage the Azure Governance to solve some common challenge. So I will use the demo company called Tailwind Traders. So that Tailwind Traders company is facing 4 challenges. And I would like to start with the first one is how we can control which virtual machines specific users can manage in the Azure portal. The second challenge is we have to limit the virtual machine deployment to specific virtual machine SKUs. SKUs refer to the virtual machine specification, including the type of the virtual machine and the size of the virtual machine. The third challenge is how we can manage the access policy and compliance across multiple subscriptions. Last challenge is how we can manage to ensure that new subscription apply existing policy as well. Okay. Let's start with the first challenge. The first challenge is how does the Tailwind Traders restrict users so that they can only manage the specific virtual machine through the Azure portal? The reason why they need to do it is you can imagine, okay, our single project, they have a domain controller, they have the file server, they have a database server, they have web servers, all these kind of virtual machine. And it's really common that you have multiple person or different person to manage different virtual machine. For example, you have a DB admin to manage the database server only, and then you have an Active Directory admin to manage the domain controller. So you don't, it's unlikely that you have a single person to manage all the virtual machine, right? It's so risky. So that's why we have to think about, okay, how we can limit or restrict the user to manage the specific virtual machine only through the Azure portal to avoid any accidents or unexpected usage or configuration occurs in the Azure portal. So to achieve it, actually, we have Azure built-in service, which is called role-based access control. So role-based access control, in short, actually, it is going to define a role with a collection of permission attached with that role. And then you assign the role to a specific user, and that user will use the role access right to manage the resources on the Azure portal. So that's why we need to use the role-based access control. So let's take a look at a very quick demo in this page, you can see that this is the Azure portal. And of course, in the Azure portal, you can see that we opened the virtual machine page already. And then on the top right corner, you can see that is an account called secondary administrator. And now that secondary administrator account, actually they can see two virtual machine in the virtual machine page. So what we are going to do is we want to use the role-based access control to assign one person or one account to access to the virtual machine A only. And then that is the first task. And the second task is we want to assign another role to this third account, to access the resource group level. So there is difference. The first task is we assign a role to a virtual machine A level. It's the resource level. And the second task is we want to assign a role to the resource group level. So that means you can see both virtual machines are hosting in the same resource group. So if the person is assigned to the resource group level, it's supposed that that person can view both virtual machines. All right, so let's take a look how it works. So first of all, a quick look. Again, on the top right corner, you see account, and then you can see A machine and B machine, and both machines are hosting in the same resource group. And now we switch to the second account. So the second account is A admin. So A admin is supposed to manage one virtual machine, which is the virtual machine A only. But of course, by default, no virtual machine is appear because we didn't assign the role. So now we move to the third account. The third account is called VM admin. You can see on the top right corner, and we want to add that account to see both virtual machine in a resource group level. So now we switch back to the original account and we go to the virtual machine A. And in the virtual machine A, you can see there is the access control, which is the role-based access control. And then you can see on the right side, the role assignment, you can see only the current account can do anything in that virtual machine. So we have to add a role assignment. As I said, we want to add admin A to view that virtual machine A. So now we have to select the role. At the bottom, we can see a virtual machine contributor. That is one of the PB role. And now we have to select the user we want to assign to. So you can see the A admin. That is the second account we just showed you. And we just want to click save, and then we assign role to that account. All right. And now we're going to do the second task. So the second task, we go to the resource group level. So we go to the TTVMs, that resource group, and then you can see the access control is same buttons, and then we add the role assignment. And then I select a role, and then that role is called virtual machine contributor again, the same role, but we add this role to the different level. One is the virtual machine, and this time we add it to the resource group level. And we select the right user. It's the VM admin, the third account, all right? The third account, not the same one. Okay, finished, and then we go back to, we have to refresh it, and then we go back to the A admin account. And now we're supposed to see a single virtual machine appear in the VM page. So now you can see there's a VMA in the VM in that A admin account. All right, so specific for the resource level. And now we switch to the third account is the VM admin. We add VM admin to the resource group level to view the virtual machine. So we should see both virtual machine under this account. Okay, now you can see VMA and VMB, and we can go to the VMB page, and then we can do any operation like how to stop the virtual machine, and we can operate it in the portal. All right, so to summarize, we have done two tasks. The first task is we go to the only account, and then we assign the role, the virtual machine contributor role, to A admin to view the virtual machine A. Okay, and it works. And the second task is we assign the same role to VM admin in a resource group level. And then that account can view all the virtual machine under the same virtual under the same resource group. All right, so that is a two-level assignment. To summarize, actually the role-based access control, it is going to grant only limited access to the user that they need to perform their jobs. So two things I want to highlight is you have to define the role. And then after you define the role, you have to select the scope. So the scope including, okay, I just the task one, we assign it to resource level. And the second task, we assign it to the resource group level. So on the left, you can see the diagram, and the diagram show you different level. So in the entire Azure tenant, we have a root management group. Under the root management group, we have a management group. And then we go to the subscription level. And then we have a resource group under the subscription. And then we have resources under the resource group. So what we have done is we assign some RBAC, the role-based access control roles, contributor roles, to the resource level and also the resource group level. So we can also assign it to different level. But of course, this time we just take an example to assign to two level here. Okay. So let me switch to the second challenge. Yeah, we have just finished assigning the role to different users, to different levels, and then we can manage everything. So now, the second challenge is, how can we limit the virtual machine SKU available for the cloud user to create in the Azure environment? So the second thing is, okay, how does Tailwind Traders limit the virtual machine SKU can be deployed to the DS2 v2, DS3 v2, and DS4 v2? So a little bit explanation here is the SKU again is refer to the virtual machine specification, including type and also the size of the virtual machine. And DS2 v2, DS3 v2, and DS4 v2 are some of the example of the SKU available on the cloud. Okay, so there are more than 100 SKU available in the market. So we just pick these three as an example. In this case, we just want to limit them. The reason why Tailwind Traders want to do it is because there are a lot of options available in the market. The cloud user can choose. So it will affect if they choose some very high-end computing. Actually, it will increase the cost. So there it will have some unexpected usage. If they choose some low-end virtual machine, which is not expected, and actually the performance will be much lower compared to what you plan to achieve. All right, so that's why it is also important that you have to limit the virtual machine SKU. Okay. To achieve it, actually, we will leverage the Azure policy to limit the virtual machine SKU. So before I do deeper, maybe let's take a look at a quick demo how we can leverage the Azure policy in the Azure portal and then to limit the virtual machine. So in that page, you can see again, we go back to the virtual, we go back to the Azure portal, and then we search policy. Okay, so we go to the Azure policy page, and then we can see in the Azure policy page, first we have to define it. So you can see we go to the definition page, we go to initiative definition, and then we start naming a new definition. Sorry, it's a new initiative definition. And then we give it description for initiative. So we want to limit which virtual machine SKU can be deployed, and then we give categories. And on the right side, we search some available definition already built in. And we search SKU is allowed virtual machine SKU. There is a built-in policy. And now we set, okay, which virtual machine SKU we allowed. And of course, we are going to choose DS2, V2, V3, S3, S4, V2. All right, so we choose 3 SKU allowed it, and then we save, and then you should be able to find the created initiative in the page. So we scroll down to the bottom, and then we see the new initiative is the limit virtual machine SKU. Okay, after we finish the initiative, we go to the assignment because after we finish the creation, we still need to assign it, right? So we go to assignment, and then we click assign initiative. So we search for the initiative we created. So there's the limit VM SKU we just created. And we give a description for the initiative or for the assignment. So we assign it to the subscription. And you can see on the top, so it takes around 30 minutes to take effect. So that's why we have to record it. So after 30 minutes, you can see on the Azure policy page, you can see, it already take effect. And now we try to hit the limit, or we try to hit the policy. So we go to the Azure virtual machine page and we create a new virtual machine, and we want to hit it, and we have to choose the SKU which is not in the scope that we allowed. All right, so we give a name to the virtual machine, and then we choose the region to deploy the virtual machine. Of course, we also have to choose the OS. So now we choose the Windows Server 2019 data center. And the size is the SKU. When you choose to change size, you can see there are a lot of size available. So now we just choose a very low end machine is B2MS virtual machine. And then after that, we have to provide a username and password for creating a virtual machine. After that, we can choose reviewed plus create buttons. And when you click it, it will run a final validation. So expected validation fail, and then you can see that actually it hit an initiative. So the initiative is limit virtual machine SKU, and it hit the policy under the initiative is allowed virtual machine SKU. So that's why when we create a virtual machine, and it will do the validation through to go to have a checking on all the policy you set at the back end or in the portal. So right now it hit the policy, and the cloud user cannot create the virtual machine with the SKU which is not under the allowed policy. Okay, so that's how it works and how we can limit the virtual machine SKU available on the portals, and we successfully restrict the cloud user to create anything on the Azure portal. So let me recap a little bit on Azure policy. Actually, three things. So first is policy is a root that will be enforced. So allowed SKU is one of the policy that we want to enforce. And second, initiative. So when we create an initiative, actually initiative is a collection of policy. So in an initiative, you can have multiple policy in the same initiative. So you don't need to apply the policy one by one. You just need to add all those required policy in the same initiative, and then you publish it, you assign it to a specific scope. So what that means by the scope, actually scope means if I just want to apply the policy to a specific subscription, or we want to apply the policy to a specific resource group only. So you can do that. So that's why scope is very important things when you are going to assign the initiative. All right. So again, you have to define the policy. You include the policy in the initiative, and then you assign the initiative to a specific scope in the Azure bottom. All right. So give you more example. So Azure policy, we can do more thing like to enforce virtual machine password setting, to have a specific length, age, or some password, and then you can have some audit policy to do some internal configuration, and then you can do some enforcement on allowed Azure location. For example, you don't want the virtual machine is can be created in US. You just want to create it in Hong Kong, for example. So you can do this kind of enforcement. And then you can do some enforcement for the storage account. It should be encrypted at rest or in transit, all this kind of stuff. Actually, you can use Azure policy to do this kind of enforcement. All right. All right, so let's start. Let's move on to the third challenge. So the third challenge is how does Tailwind Traders ensure that consistent policy apply across multiple subscription? So the reason why they have to do it is it's really common that they have a single company or project that they have multiple subscription. Actually, the reason why they have it is the first reason is, okay, I have multiple environment. So I have a productions environment, I have a UAT environment, and I want to separate them in different subscription. So I have a subscription for production, I have a subscription for development testing. And the second very common reasons that we have it is we can have multiple projects for maybe for different customers. So we want to create different subscription for different project for different customers. So it's really common to have multiple subscription. But the problem is if we have a set of policy, we want to apply it across multiple subscription. How can we do it? So of course, you definitely can create a policy one by one individually in the in multiple subscription. It works, but it takes time, right? So how can we make it more efficient? So we can leverage creating a management group. So if you remember that we have a management group level in when I talk about the role-based access control. Actually, management group is a higher level compared to subscription, resource group, and resources level. So we can have the main goal here is we want to leverage the management group to do a centralized management across multiple subscription. So that's what we want to achieve. Before I drill deeper, I want to show you a quick demo is how we can leverage management group to group some of the subscription together, and then we applied a same set of policy, and then we also want to assign the same role to across different subscription. So there are two tasks, all right? There are two tasks. So let's get started. Let's log into the owner account, and then you search management, and then you can see under the management group, you can see a warning message on the top. It said you need a necessary permission to manage the role management group. Okay, the root management group. All right, and then you can see the tenant root group. There are free default or already existing subscription. So now we want to separate them to make a better hierarchy. So we have to first assign the permission to yourself. So you go to the Azure Active Directory, which is your tenant, and then go to the properties. Under the properties, you can assign and enable the access management. Click Save, and then you have to refresh it to take effect. So sign out, sign in, which is a very classic actions that we do. And then we go back to the management group. In the management group now, you didn't see the warning message, and then we go to the tenant root groups, and then you can see, okay, there are free subscription, and now we want to add a hierarchy, the second level. So we go to add management group, and then we have to create a new one, provide a group ID, which is for production. Okay, for example, it's take for production. So provide a display name, same one to keep it simple. So it's really quick that we can create a management group, which is for production use, and then we go to the details, and we want to add one more hierarchy is a trial group under the production group. So which is called production trial group under the production group. So we drill into the third level, and then we see the details of the production trial management group. And now we add the subscription. So if you still remember, we have free subscription, and now we only add 2 subscription into that management group. So if you have 10 subscription, actually you can separate them by different management group, and then you can have a separate centralized management for different management group. And in this case, we only add 2 subscription under the child management group. And then we go to the first task. So first task is we go to the policy, and then we assign the same set of policy to the management group. So you can see the scope. We scope it to the production trial management group. Under that management group, there are 2 subscription, and then we search for some policy, built-in policy. The first one is required tag and its value. So we can provide a description. We want to require an environment tag to all the resources under that management group. So all the resources created under that management group will have a tag. The value is production. So it will be more clear to search and identify the resources belong to production. So that is the first task. And now we go back to the management group. It's the production trial group, and we want to assign the role. A common role, you want all the subscription have the common role. That role is maybe virtual machine contributor. So you choose virtual machine contributors, and then you assign that role to TT virtual machine admin account. All right. So after you set it up, what will happen? Actually, we have finished 2 tasks. The first task is we have a management group. Under that management group, we have 2 subscriptions. And we want to apply the same set of policy across 2 subscriptions. So we can directly assign the policy to the management group, and it takes effect for both subscriptions quickly. And the second task is we assign a same role to the management group level. So both subscription under the management group will have the same role assigned. And the account, which is called TTVM admin, will immediately have the access permission to the entire management group and access both subscription to manage the virtual machine. All right, so that's what we have done. Let's recap the key features. Is the first, we allowed you to use the management group to organize access policy and compliance across multiple subscriptions. You can have up to 10,000 management group per directory. You can use the management group tree, can support up to 6 levels of depth. So in our previous example, we have 3. So we have the root management group, and then we have a production management group, and then we have a production trial management group. Let's take a quick demos here. As a quick sample. So you can see we have a Tailwind Trader root group at the top, and then under the root group we have a marketing team management group, and then I have an IT team management group. And under IT team management group we have infrastructure team management group, and we have application team management group. Under each management group they have their associated subscription. So if we have a set of rules that we want to, or policy you want to apply it under all the IT team subscription, you can easily assign it to IT team management group, and all the subscription under that tree will take effect. So you don't need to do it one by one individually. All right, so that's the concept, how you can leverage the management group to group the specific subscription together, and then you can apply the policy and assign the role. Okay, I think that's very clear for the third challenge, and now we move on to the 4th challenge. So that is the last challenge, is how does Tailwind Traders ensure that existing policy or configuration are applied to the new subscription? So you may feel confused. It's quite similar to the policy, right? Actually, the difference is every days or every month that a company could have more and more subscription added. For example, they have more project and they have a new project, they can have a new subscription. So sometimes they want to have a same set of policy or same set of configuration, not just policy. For example, including the policy, including the role assignment, including some basic or foundational resources. They want to deploy it as a template to a new subscription. That's something that you cannot do with just policy, because you have to do it one by one. But as a template is a really quick, and that is a very standardized options that you can deploy it to the new subscription and make sure that all the setup align with previous subscription. All right, so that's the goal that we want to achieve. To achieve it, we have to leverage Azure Blueprint. Azure Blueprint is a template that you can define all the artifacts or all the items you want to standardize it. And then you deploy the template to the subscription and make sure that all the things align with the template configuration. So let's take a look how it works, and then I will share it more in details. So go to the Azure portal, search Blueprint, and then you go to the Blueprint page. Of course, the first step, we have to create a Blueprint. We create a Blueprint with a blank Blueprint, and then we provide a name to the Blueprint. And of course, we have to assign to a scope or the locations. So we want to create that Blueprint for a new subscription called Alpha. And then we click the next artifacts to add some artifacts. So artifacts, as I said, is some items or some configuration that you want to standardize it. So first, I want to standardize some policy. So again, I use the same policy as the required tag and its values. So we add it to the Blueprint, and then we can, of course, we can configure more. So you can configure the tag name, you can configure the tag values. Yeah, we click save, and then we add the second artifact, which is also the same task as what we just showed you, is to assign the same role to the subscription. So if we want to have a common role, which is called like virtual machine contributors, and then we can choose to add a virtual machine contributor and then add this artifact to the Blueprint. Two tasks are same as what we just showed in the previous demo. And we just save it as a draft, and then we can go to the Blueprint definition to see our draft. So you can see the latest version is under draft. And now we want to publish the Blueprint to a production use. So of course you have to review your Blueprint first, and then now we publish it. You have to provide the version numbers. For example, you just give a 1.0, and then you publish it. So you publish it, and then obviously you have to assign the Blueprint. And then you assign the Blueprint to the subscription, and then choose the location. And then all the thing you have to do for the rest is you have to finish the value you define in the artifacts. So in your artifacts, you said you want to have a virtual machine contributor, and then now you have to define the values. So who you want to assign. And then you have to assign the values for the tags. For a tag, so environment, production. And then you configure all this, and then you assign it to the associated subscription. All right. So after you set it up, actually both role assignment and policy automatically applied and deploy to the new subscription. All right. So the idea is you use the Blueprint features to include all the standardized or required items in the template. And then when you assign the Blueprint to the new subscription, what you need to do is just to fill the values that you set in the artifacts or each items. After that, you can apply it and deploy it to the new subscription. And then it will automatically apply all the change to the selected subscription. All right, so that's how we work. Let me recap a little bit. As Azure Blueprint is to enable quick, repeatable creation of fully governed environment. So the first thing is we want to streamline the environment creation. And what I just showed you is we use the template to include the common policy and role access control. But of course, we didn't add the resources. So actually, you can add some resources. For example, you want to add a virtual machine. Then actually, when you apply and assign the Blueprint to the new subscription, the virtual machine will also create it. So that's something that you can do. And the second thing is you can use the blueprint to enable the compliance development. So with some standardized setup or blueprint and some locked policy, your environment should under manage. And then the third thing is you can lock the foundational resources. As I said, if you want the foundational and resources, including 2 virtual machine, free policy, and 2 role access control, you can set it up and then you deploy it, and your subscription automatically have those foundational resources quickly. So that's how Azure Blueprint can act as a template and then helps you to do better. So let me recap or summarize all the challenges that we just walked through. The first challenge is we use the role-based access control to control which virtual machine specific user can manage in the Azure portal. And then we use the Azure policy to limit the virtual machine deployment to specific virtual machines SKUs. Third challenge, we use the management group to manage access policy and compliance across multiple subscription. And the last one, we use the Azure Blueprint as a template to ensure that a new subscription apply to existing policy. All right. We take a look at the technology that is role-based access control. The function is we use it to control what can be done and where it can be done. All right, we assign the role definition to a specific users to a specific scope in the Azure environment to perform what they need to do only. Second one, Azure policy, we use it to control the properties of resources during and after the deployment, to enforce them, to perform under all the policy. Third one, we use the management group to create a centralized group across multiple subscription to collect together and managing multiple subscription. Last one, we use the Azure Blueprint as a template to deploy resources, policy, and also the role-based access control. All right, so that's all what I just shared today to talk about Azure governance technologies. But of course, one thing I have to remind you is Azure keep updates every day, and what we just picked today to share is just some of the service available on Azure. So there are more and more service good for you to manage your resources as well. So lastly, I just want to tell you and recommend you that if you have time, it's better to go to the Microsoft Learn webpage. Actually, that is free of charge. What you need to do is just to go to the web page, Microsoft Learn, and then you can select your own learning path, and then you can find some hands-on learning sections to complete the interactive learning exercise, watch videos, and practice and apply your new skills in your own environment. So Microsoft Learn keep updating, and is really, really great resources for you to learn without any extra course, right? So that is really we highly recommend you to try it out. So thank you for listening to the section, and I hope you all can benefit or also learn something about Azure governance and how Azure governance can help you do better or manage better in your own environment. So I believe it is really important in your Azure cloud adoption journey. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, and I'm happy to answer all of this. And our team is always be here to answer your questions. And again, strongly recommend you to take a look on our online resources, the materials in Microsoft Learn. All right, thank you for listening. Bye-bye.